Hey everyone, Metalhead here. So guys, let me ask you, what were you doing back in 1998? Personally, I was walking around the table and occasionally peeing my pants. I guess I don't really remember. So, did you know that on November 19th, 1998, one of the greatest games in the world was released? Did you know that a then unknown studio called Valve, led by a former ambitious Microsoft programmer named Gabe Newell, made a breakthrough in the gaming industry? Probably not. So, as you've probably guessed from the title of the video, I'm talking about Half-Life, because this game is tied directly to my childhood memories. Back when the grass was greener, a regular pack of croutons cost 5 rubles, so there was no way I could pass this game by. And another thing people often ask me, Metalhead, why do you even do this? You're just retelling the game's plot, and it's unlikely anyone will want to play it after that. And those who've already played won't learn anything new. Yeah, that's right. But let's say you want to know what War and Peace is about without spending a billion hours or however long it takes. You're really not in the mood to read the whole thing, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to find someone who can give you a brief summary of the plot, focusing on the important parts and leaving out all the filler. That's pretty much what I do. But I think that's already clear, so let's get started. I'll say right away, Half-Life is my all-time favorite game series. I love it more than STAA, GTA, and even Warcraft. Any idea why? Maybe it's childhood nostalgia. Maybe because it offers one of the best immersions into a game world. Not as cool as an endless summer, of course, but still impressive. And, by the way, I once thought about making a video on the first game using its more modern remake, Black Mesa. I had the idea to make a video about the first game using its more modern remake, Black Mesa, which fans spent 8 years creating. It really looks impressive, and it would be great to record from it so you wouldn't have to put up with 20th century graphics. The thing is, the fans never fully finished the game, and they've been working on the last levels for 5 years now. But enough talk. Buckle up. We're heading to Black Mesa. But buckle up might be overstating it, because for the first 5 minutes you'll just be slowly riding in a tram and checking out the huge scientific complex called Black Mesa. Oh right, let me introduce you to our main character. Dr. Gordon Freeman is a young, promising physicist and nuclear scientist who smashes enemy skulls with a crowbar and ruthlessly takes out anything in his way. Take a close look at the man in the attached photo. Can you imagine this guy crying and, with trembling fingers, dialing the number of some random floozy to tell her about his feelings? Like, to show how he feels about her, you could imagine him letting a plump mom with a baby in her arms go ahead of him in line. And the fact that he's been working for 6 months handing out flyers just to buy himself an iPhone, you see him as someone who's too shy to tell his parents that for his 24th birthday he wants to have a drink with his friends. Now take another look at him. Do you see him wearing any trendy brand name clothes? Maybe he's covered in bulging muscles and thick veins? Does he have the looks of a movie star or a male model? Is there an expensive car behind him? Take another look at this man and ask yourself, what's wrong with him? Why is there iron in his gaze, steel in his posture, and lead instead of skin? After arriving at the Anomalous Materials Research Lab, Gordon puts on his protective suit and heads out to conduct the experiment. The gist of the experiment is this. There's this thing, and it does this, and you need to stick the crystal in there. So that's where you need to shove it. Crystal. Gordon carries out this procedure, and unexpected consequences follow. The portal opens, if you can call it that, to a world known as Zen. It's inhabited by all sorts of creatures that slip into our world and turn the lab into a wild mess. Now the city's mission is simply to make it out of the lab alive. Soon, we pick up the most badass weapon in this universe, the magic crowbar, which we'll use to hack you a path through the bodies of our enemies. We meet 2 scientists, one of whom is named Eli Vance. We'll get to know him better in the next part of the game. Eli tells us to get to the surface and call for help. We keep exploring the complex and end up in the office spaces. There we run into some scientists who tell Gordon that the government has sent in the military to evacuate the staff. Moving a bit further, we finally run into the soldiers, who, however, aren't exactly eager to help us. The soldiers, however, aren't in a hurry to help us and are trying to kill Freeman. It turns out the military were sent to eliminate the aftermath of the accident, including killing all the staff to remove any witnesses. We keep heading toward the surface. However, the military have other ideas and start bombing the complex. So we keep sneaking through the underground tunnels and ventilation shafts. From one of the scientists, we learn that the researchers at the Lambda complex can close the interdimensional portal and stop the invasion. But since the complex's transport system has kicked the bucket, we have to run there on foot, shooting as we go. After dealing with the spider and mutants, we end up in the jet engine testing bay. We see that tentacles have grown out of the shaft, slicing everything alive to pieces. So now we need to smash these tentacles to pieces so we can move on. There aren't many left, and by turning on the oxygen and power supply to the engine, we burn them. Folks, we burn the ceramic pentacle and head down into the mine shaft. Further along the way, we run into a big, fat blue thing they call Gargantua. You can't just kill it outright. So we power up the generators, lure that beast after us, and take it down with a powerful burst of electricity. We hop on the tram and set off for a ride along the monorail. One of the scientists tells us there's a rocket with a satellite on board in the laboratories. If we launch it into orbit, it'll make it easier for the scientists at the Lambda complex to deal with the aftermath of the experiment that went out of control. I'll say right away, this is my least favorite chapter in the game because you have to run around switching tracks. Then the soldiers start blasting at you with rocket launchers and machine guns. Either way, we make it to the launch shaft and send the satellite up into the sky. After that, we hop on a minecart and keep going. But along the way, the soldiers blow up the tracks. We buy what we need and move on, but not far before the soldiers blow up the tracks along the way. The cart flies off into Gordon's neck of the woods, smashes him against the wall, and he dies. And that's how the game ends. Alright, just kidding. The soldiers blow up the tracks, and we fall into flooded rooms. We get out of one set of flooded rooms and end up in a room with a pool, and inside it, an ichthyosaur. The scientist tells us to grab the tranquilizer and take it down. What do we do? A little further on, we run into a guard who says he has something important to tell us. But the poor guy takes a bullet to the head from some babes and latex-clad acrobats. Hee hee. We take out the snitch. For that, it's better to use an underbarrel grenade launcher. After that, we open the door, walk into the next room, and get smacked in the head. Pure classic. I even got nostalgic for my all-time favorite part of STA as Co-ER. Two soldiers drag our pitiful body to the dump and leave us there. Dump the body and leave us there. But the biggest mistake the enemies of Freeman City make is underestimating Gordon Freeman's abilities. We wake up and dash out from under the press just a couple of seconds before it crushes us, grabbing our trusty crowbar. We also take it with us and make a run for the waste processing station, sprinting along various escalators. We arrive at a secret laboratory where experiments were carried out on Zen creatures. Here we rescue the scientists, who unlock the door for us and warn that outside it's pure hell. In this chapter. By the way, there's this awesome moment with a pipe and a plane that used to give me chills down my spine. Grab the rocket launcher and blow the helicopter's face off. Then we run into the Gargantua again. This time, we tear him apart with a precision strike, passing the coordinates through the military comms. In the end, we hide underground from the bombing. At that moment, we hear that the military are advancing.
At this time, we hear that the military have failed and are trying to leave the lab. I quote, "Forget about Freeman. We're leaving the base. We move on and get to the Lambda complex. There we meet a scientist who tells us that Gordon must sink part of the reactor. Freeman is successful in this task, and we start to jump on teleports. So we get to the scientists who report that the alien invasion is not just a random incident, but a planned attack by some huge powerful being, possibly through telepathy. Closing the portals from our world will not work, so there is only one way to stop the invasion: kill this creature. Replenish supplies, and go to the room with teleport. While it warms up, we are attacked by bad guys from the Xenon, so as we shoot back, we wait to open the portal and jump into it. Ken looks very unusual, and also the gravity here is slightly lighter than the background, so you can have fun with jumps, but soon it will get tired. So by shooting, we wait to open the portal and jump into it. Ken looks quite unusual, and also the gravity here is slightly lighter than the background, so you can have fun with jumps, but soon it will get tired. Then all primitive, find the teleport, look for a way to it, jump from it. Thus we get into the lair of Gonarka, one might say the mother of all head crabs. We shoot her machine with all our arsenal, as a result of which she falls dead, well. And we advance further, and find ourselves in the factory of genes, where soldiers of their army are grown. By killing flying creatures and Vartigans, we are moving higher and higher in the factory. In the end, we come to the altar, which looks pretty creepy. But Gordon Freeman wouldn't be Gordon Freeman if he was afraid of all sorts of things, right? By going into the portal, we find ourselves in the lair of the very same thing that scientists in the Lambda complex told us about, Nijilantu. He looks like a big baby. But looking at it, we realize that this creature knows neither compassion nor pity, so he deserves to be fucked. The exact tactics on Nayland, I don't even know whether you can kill him before he hits you from the teleport that he throws at you, or not. I'm hot. But I know for sure that you first have to break the yellow crystals that burn it, and then shove all your ammunition into it, turning off electrical discharges, which he sends to you. Sometimes he will teleport you into the room with his servants, from which Gordon will continue to water him with a lead rain. In this way, we bring Nihilin to a critical state, and by jumping over the Ramplion, we shoot him directly into the brain and destroy this scumbag. Nihilion then flies to the ceiling, and the explosion of his body shatters his lair, but suddenly Gordon teleports onto a local elevator, or lift analog, and appears before a mysterious man with a diplomat in a blue suit. For simplicity, I'll call it, what everyone calls it, Jimina. It is worth saying that throughout the game we met Jimina many times, but always we could not get to him. Here, for example, we saw it at the beginning of the game in a trolley, and here before sending it to the experimental chamber. Well, and many times during the entire passage. Now Jimina is fed up with some mysterious employers about the fact that Gordon the Handsome and Solo did a huge amount of dirty work, and that Jimina is extremely happy with the result. By the way, do not expect that Jimin's classic genre will give us answers to all the questions that arose in the game. He will not give anything, but only add mystery, such a style of Halpha. He teleports us into a trolley that will strike space and time, and then offers us work. Jim opens the portal and adds a branded phrase. Gordon enters the portal, and Jim tells us that we will meet later, and the game ends there. This is the case, friends. In fact, the game will abound with a lot of interesting and funny moments. I tried to tell you about the most important things in the story, and I didn't seem to miss anything. And as for the next video, you see, in addition to the very first Alpha, there are also two kosher official editions, a Bull Cipher, and an Oppo Sing Force.